Okay, we are live. All right. Hi, good morning, and welcome to the Easter edition of Skinny 5 Million African Freelancers in 5 Years. It is great to be here this Monday morning. It's not a usual day, but it is Easter and it is a holiday, and everyone pretty much is at home. So we just thought to bring this special edition so that we can communicate with people in the industry to talk to us and lead us by the hand. So basically, we'll be just be talking about the freelancing space, remote work, and how we can, you know, utilize the African talent and make sure that we are exposed to the outside world. All right, good morning once again. My name is Ogie Mark, and I am your umpire for today. All right, it's just going to be for an hour. All right, so wherever you are listening from, I bid you welcome. Good morning, and thank you so much for joining us. You can share the link on wherever you are, on LinkedIn, on Facebook. We are on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and on YouTube as well. So you can share the link and join the conversation. Okay, share the link and join the conversation. All right. It's going to be a wonderful day. We have several people that will be talking to us today. We have Mr. Amos Fatogun. We also have Mr. Jonathan Okalomo, who was here a couple of weeks ago. And of course, we decided to bring him here again to share in his wealth of knowledge. All right. We also have Mr. Adekunle Olusoyina. He also will be speaking to us today. So wherever you are, bid you welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. Wherever you're joining us from Lagos, Abuja, Ibadan, Nigeria, Africa, Europe, Asia, wherever you are, welcome, welcome, welcome. All right. If you have any questions, please drop your questions in the comment section, and I will be asking our guests today what your question is. Okay. Just drop your questions in the comment section. All right. So just share the link with everyone. Your contact list, Viola Azubike. Thank you so much for joining us from Lagos. Thank you for that. Please share the link, and of course, stay tuned till the end. You can drop your comments as well. Drop your comments in the comment section, and we can ask the guests your questions. All right. Okay. All right. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, okay?
Good morning, okay?
Happy Easter. It's a holiday. Happy Easter.
Thank you, okay?
Yeah, thank
Okay,
you.
so a quick question before we go into what we have lined up for today, right? Aside being here, what are your plans for Easter? For the holiday, it's a holiday. So what are your plans for the holiday?
Well, I work from home, so you can understand I don't have so much planned for holiday. I'm not working today. That's the beauty of it. So I'm here. That's one of my plans. And
Okay.
the sun is out in Dublin today, so it gives me the opportunity to go out with the boys, maybe play some football around, then
Woo!
think about
That's
tomorrow.
great.
What starts tomorrow here? Okay.
Okay, Mr. Koloma, what about you? What are your plans for the holiday?
Yeah, I have quite a full day. My younger brother is celebrating his birthday, so
Oh, happy birthday to him.
I'm going to be with him in about 2 hours, and then
Okay.
I have also somewhere to get to do some pedicure before I resume.
Ooh, fancy.
That's interesting.
That is great. That
I
is
never
great.
been able to
I'm
do
glad to
pedicure.
be here. It's a good one, and I'm happy that I get to do this before my program kicks off in earnest. But I have a full day, but it's quite interesting to be here.
That's great. Thank you so much for honoring us with your presence. George from Lagos, thank you so much for joining us. Victor as well, thank you for joining us. And yes. Oh, yeah. Hi, Miko Risan. Thank you. And happy Easter to you too as well. Okay. All right. So we'll move on to what we have lined up for today. All right. If you're just joining us, this is a special holiday Easter edition of Upskilling 5 million African freelancers in 5 years. That is the goal. In 5 years to upskill 5 million African freelancers. So I'm going to go straight and ask Mr. Amos Fatogun, what are the top outsourced jobs from Europe? On the top of the list, the jobs that are more outsourced in Europe.
Well, when you say that, it brings back a lot of thoughts.
Okay.
Outsourced job from Europe to where? That would be the question. And the receiving country have the capacity to take Europe job, because Europe is also looking for jobs. You're taking a lot of jobs from America as well.
Okay, let me rephrase the question. So when it comes to tech startups, when it comes to entrepreneurs, when it comes to tech startups, what jobs do they usually outsource as opposed to having it by their in-house employees and things like that? So what jobs are usually, what kind of jobs do they go out to look for people to fulfill the roles?
Okay. Basically, blue-collar jobs. When you say blue-collar jobs, precision engineering, you have contact center advisors, you have people that work in IT support as well. I think companies generally will outsource jobs they don't want to do. They want to keep on to their core competence. So they will want to outsource HR, they want to outsource finance, accounting, things like that. And I understand the question you're asking, but I think this forum will give us the opportunity to put things in perspective, and I'm excited about that already. So those jobs are outsourced greatly.
Wow, that's great. Okay, so when these jobs are outsourced, now among these jobs, right, engineering, IT, which of the skills are more, marketable, more sought after? Which of these skills are more sought after?
You're asking questions that are very difficult. Okay. Which of the skills are more sourced after? It depends. It depends on a lot of things. There's a lot of statistics that's been thrown around so much around the world. Which job is best outsourced? Basically, IT is top of the list. 37% of IT jobs are outsourced, and is getting bigger by the day. So people in development, people in support, people in marketing, they also do a lot of outsource for them. Content development are being outsourced today. A lot of people who work in translation that's been outsourced. So basically, it is a difficult thing to say which of the job is being outsourced. Countries are now becoming destinations for outsourcing. It used to be India, China, but there's been a lot of paradigm shift to the destination. Philippines is taking a lot of call center jobs because they are prepared for it. India has opportunity in the past. South Africa is taking a lot of call center jobs. They have 3,000 call center jobs in South Africa. They have 20,000 in South Africa. People who are working, they work day in, day out. So basically, when you say which one are top, it depends on a lot of indices to be able to answer that. If you talk about China, they are the world factory. So when it comes to precision engineering, when it comes to manufacturing, you go to China. But look at what is happening. There's a lot of political brouhaha that is causing China to lose ground. And people are now going to Vietnam to give the Chinese job, traditionally Chinese job, they're taking it to Vietnam. So you find countries position themselves now to be the destination for offshoring. Is when you say outsourcing, you also have to think about offshoring, which is companies themselves see that those destinations as important for them. So basically, I know Mr. Jonathan is going to be talking about the policy, but the policy makes for what is the best to outsource to you as a company, what is best for your country as well. What is your country actually prepared for it? I remember in the year 2012, I did a program with the World Bank. It's called the ASSESS program. That is assessment of core competence for employability in the service sector in 2012 with Motimix. And what we did was an experiment with the World Bank. Are Nigerian youth employable? That's the experiment. And there are two groups, the ones we trained to be employable and the ones that were not trained. So what happened? After the experiments, then World Bank did an exam for the two groups, and they said Nigerian youths are employable. So that you have to take with a pinch of salt. Nigerian youth are employable. I don't think 1 hour will be enough to discuss this, but Nigerian youth are employable. So if they are employable, what should we give them for?
Mr. Fatogu, good morning, sir.
Excuse me, I just want to point
you didn't tell them. Can you hear me, Mr. Fatogu?
Yes. I can hear you.
Can you hear me, Mr. Fatogu?
I can't hear that question. You could.
Okay. I said you didn't mention that I was part of that experiment, right? 2012.
You are part of it as well. Yes, Femi.
Femi. I told them. My mentor back then.
Yes. He was also a facilitator in that program. And
basically, I was a participant, not a facilitator. I was a participant.
A participant in 2012. Okay.
Yes.
So a lot of you guys I trained. I can't remember. But what I'm saying is that the program told us, World Bank told us that you are employable, that you could get jobs, outsource jobs, you could work as freelancers. And that comes to policy. That comes to, if I'm in Europe, will I be happy to give my job to you? When I know you have a lot of problems with your electricity, with your communication, with so many things, that becomes a huge problem. I read a book by one of my mentors, Professor Oyelaro Oyebanji. He said uneven paths of development, innovation and learning in Asia and Africa. So you could see the dichotomy that the path Asian countries, the path they followed to be able to develop quickly, and why are we having problem in Africa? Why haven't we got it right? I think that's what you are talking about on this program today. Why do some countries get it right? Do you know China got it right in 40 years? Yes, from the time they decided to open their economy to the world, it was from 1970, and it became the factory of the world, China. So what are we doing wrong? I don't. Let me stop here because there's a lot to talk about in this.
Yes, there is a lot to talk about.
Is enough for this.
I have two questions in two parts, though. I don't know which to go first. Okay. In the course of your explanation. You did mention that countries like South Africa, like the Philippines, like India are topping the chart in being destination countries for outsourcing jobs. And the question now is, how can Africa be on the top of the list now, considering the fact that the experiment that the World Bank has conducted showed that Africa was, thank you very much. Africa was, okay, thank you. Africa was is employable. So how can Africans and Africa be positioned in such a way that they will be the choice, the destination for these outsourcing jobs?
Thank you, Oge. You see, it calls for a lot of deliberations among our policy writers. I've seen a lot of policies written for African countries, for Nigeria especially, the Sustainable Development Goal 2050, that's the one Nigeria is working on, is an UNDP development goal that is like an handout to many development countries. 192 countries has it, 2050 development goal. But do you know that Nigeria has been writing visions, Vision 2000, Vision 2010, Vision 2020, Vision 2030, and you need to look at those. You need to read them. They are all masterpieces. The best people in Nigeria, the best technology managers in Nigeria were put together in a room, and I wonder why those rooms did not explode, because they wrote beautiful papers, beautiful to read. You read them and you'll be swept off your feet. But we've never implemented anything. We've had all this beautiful write-up. Vision 2020, for example, let me give you an example. The Vision 2010 said that we should, by 2010, have 30,000 megawatts of electricity running in the country. When it was being written in 1999, we had 6,000 megawatts. That was what Nigeria has. And we were saying, okay, by 2010, which is 11 years later, we should get to this threshold of 30,000. We never did. We hovered, we actually went back. We averaged between 3,000 and 4,000 megawatts. That was what we were doing. So tell me, if you put a country, you want to offshore your business, you are in Europe or in America, and you have Ghana, you have Angola, you have Rwanda, you know, and you have Nigeria, where we have the best of the best when it comes to students or people, workforce. Where would you, as somebody, where will you take your business? Do you want to pay more for diesel? And lands that banks are readjusting their opening and closing time now because of the payment. And you know, there are a lot of problems that are there that we need a lot of people who will think outside the box to disrupt the marketplace for the country. We need a knowledge economy, because a lot of things are happening now that are going to mitigate against us. You see, countries that have the windfall of offshoring, of outsourcing, that they're having problems now. You know the problem they're having. For example, they're having problem of what we call CBAM. CBAM is carbon border adjustment, which means a lot of companies in Europe are signed to 2050. We want to be zero. We want to be emitting zero carbon.
Okay.
Then, because of competition, they took their business to China, where there is no regulation. You can emit whatever you want to emit. You go to India, you emit whatever you want to emit. And because of that, they offshore all their businesses to those destinations. But some companies are playing, they're now coming back, import those goods back to Europe and America and say, look, I've got my good, but you have done it in countries where you are emitting so much carbon. So they are saying that, look, you have to surcharge those imports back into Europe. Do you know that last year, India paid more than 40 billion on their export back to Europe because they did it and because they hit the carbon border adjustment taxes. So what I'm saying in effect is a lot of countries, Commonwealth countries, have signed into carbon border adjustment. Nigeria haven't still signed, but are we ready for production? We are not still there. We are not going to be a country where people will say this is the next destination for production. But countries are already moving away from that. There's been a shift from that. So by the time we are ready, countries will be ahead. They will be ahead of whatever we thought we want to do. So basically, I think we should start thinking of how to look at a sector where we can actually play. Fleming has been very magnificent in this. I'm not going to start praising him so much, but since he caught the bug of business process outsourcing, he has never stopped. I think he dreams it. Maybe he doesn't. He speaks it as well. Wait, I'm proud of him. We need more people like that. What is government doing to assist his works? It's been using personal fund. He has wanted me to consult with him. I've charged him so much. I didn't recognize students when I charge. He was paying and calling me mentor, but I still charged him because I'm not supposed to be free anyway. You understand what I'm saying? In effect, that's just a joke, but it is people like Femi should be seen and brought into policy making because these are the people that are actually walking the talk. He is pushed himself into it and deep neck into it as well. So what government should do is a lot. We need competent people. We need competent people to understand technology management. Technology managers are in need now. Maybe we will say we have scientists. We could say we have developers. Yes, not top of the notch developers, but we have them. They are work in progress. These are people that could be helped to get to a high level. What I've seen about Nigerians is we are teachable. We learn and we adapt and we triumph as well. So basically that gives us a competitive edge. So telling me what we should do is we should start from the inside. There's a company called Tata. Maybe you've heard of it. It's called TCS in India. They are the Tata Consultancy Services. It's an indigenous company in India. That's how they started. When Tata started, they started getting jobs in India. IT jobs, IT support jobs, customer service jobs. They were doing call centers. Do you know that Tata is now listed in the US Stock Exchange in New York? They listed in the UK Stock Exchange. Why? Because they started exporting jobs now. 276,000 jobs Tata exported to Europe. That means Tata is now competing with European companies. So what did they do differently? How did they do it? What Femi is doing. possibly. Getting people like Mr. Jonathan around him, people like very smart people. Let's come together. Let's think of what to do. What should we do? How do we harness our resources together? What do we have to put in place? How do we take advantage of the technology that is available? It's now everything is happening on the cloud. So it is what should we do with the cloud? How do we engage with edge technology when it is necessary? What is going to be the benefit of getting involved with artificial reality, virtual reality? Maybe those are the areas that we should concentrate on, because I don't think manufacturing is what we should be doing. If I talk manufacturing, I'll be thinking that we should not be thinking of a nebulous factories again. What about thinking about modular factories? Small is beautiful, they say. Refineries. Why should our refinery be so nebulous? I learned recently you want 3 trillion to service excess to do palliative for people buying fuel. 3 trillion. Do you know that you can build a modular refinery for $125 billion? $125 billion. You'll get a modular refinery, which means it must have been assembled, tested in the US. They transfer it to where they wanted it, and it starts working. It's easy to manage. It's not going to be an NLPC. It can produce about 20,000 barrels a day. And you could imagine if you have that in the 6 geopolitical zone in Nigeria, what that will mean for you. With $125 million. So how many of that do you have in your 4 trillion that you want to use for subsidy? You're going to burn 4 trillion in a year, but you could have something that would be very economical for years. And it takes about 18 months to build, for example. So that's modular refinery. Why are we not having those? Why should we have an Ajaokuta that has been moribund for so long? It's been there. When I was a student, I've learned about Ajaokuta. I've written so much about Ajaokuta. I talked about Ajaokuta. And still there is nebulous. Nothing's coming out of it. Why can't we have the modular types that are not as big as that? What are we doing? How are we transferring technology from when we have people coming from China or from Europe or America to install? Do we have in our contract that, look, we have to be able to master and be able to transfer this technology to us so that it becomes indigenous? What happens to our knowledge management? I think our knowledge management quotient as a country is below par. We should be thinking about how to annex all the knowledge base we have in the country and how to put them to good use. Because you find a lot of wasted knowledge. I was teaching a class in NMPC. The senior class, I think, was talking about purchasing. They want to computerize their purchasing system. And I got talking with very senior member of NNPC. And they were telling me the type of knowledge they have. Beautiful knowledge that a lot of things they are able to do because of the knowledge management that happens around there. But policy makes it difficult for them to be able to help the refineries. Somebody said they wanted a valve that would have cost maybe $20,000, but it is in the threshold of what only the Federal Executive Council can approve. So do you know how the Federal Executive Council works? They come every month, they look at files, they sign, they drink tea, they sign, and at the end of the day, that's the bit we can do this month. We'll work on and they won't get to that file. And that is why you find, because of a valve that somebody could have pulled out in LNG, if that's happening in LNG, because it's a smaller place, somebody will have pulled it out and say, look, all we need is a valve. This will start working. It took years. Nobody got to buying the valve. And when they got to it, at the end of the day, you know what they said? Oh, we no more manufacture of that. That's what the company that did that. What they told them, no, we don't do that again. So you could see what policy does to development, what does to harnessing our knowledge base and knowledge management capability in the country. It's okay. It's that bad.
We have a comment here from Ganiut, and he says it's never too late for Nigerians and generally Africans too, and we are really trying to. All we need to combine with all these growth-focused platforms is a dignified bearing that's more focused on the NBU and people of total strange in tech. Okay, that's from Ganiyu Tunde. And yes, okay, Mr. Fatago, you basically talked about policies being the major drawback we had as Africans as to why we're not where we're supposed to be. So I'm just going to Mr. Okanamo right now. Mr. Okanamo, what do you think, in your perspective, what do you think the government can do? Because Mr. Fatago has talked about policies, the fact that policies are not implemented to take, this development to the greatest heights it's supposed to achieve, the fact that even the knowledge required cannot be applied, the fact that even those who are supposed to make these policies are not in the room where these policies are supposed to be made. What do you think, in your perspective, can be done to change this? Because if India, China, South Africa, and all these other countries are destination places for outsourced work, and in Africa, especially here in Nigeria, we're being limited by the kind of policies being implemented, what can we do to change our stance on that?
Wow. Thank you very much, Oge, for that question. And I want to stand on the existing protocol and thank Mr. Fatogun for, I just wish he could go on and on. Mr. Fatogun has a lot of practical knowledge and insight. And I'm sure we can't do justice to this topic in 1 hour. I'm sure Mr. Femi would maybe have other sessions or some, because I believe that what we are saying is very important. I love that Mr. Fatogun, even though he's currently abroad now, stays in Europe, but he understands the industry. So as he was speaking, I was writing down some things, and fine, we have a lot of problems in Africa, and of course, Nigeria ranks up there in issues. He said so many things about India. India is a success story in the outsourcing space. For Africa, we look at top 7 countries for outsourcing in Africa. We look at Ethiopia tops the list, Nigeria, South Africa, Kenya, Ghana, Mauritius, and Madagascar. Now, do you know that the Federal Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy has drafted a national outsourcing strategy? But I don't know if that document has ever seen the light of day. Like what Mr. Fatogun said about Many of the visions we drafted back in 99, Vision 2010, Vision 2020. This is 2022. And we still currently are battling with the same issues that we have known. So many issues. Okay, I'm going to your question. I just want to build a background. So
Of course. Mr. Kanama, is the connection, is it?
Yeah, can you see me now?
Okay, yes, of course, yes.
I
Please
could
go
give you a
ahead.
reality check of so many issues that we face in Nigeria, but a major one deviled our progress and growth over the years is reliable electricity infrastructure. If we don't get electricity right, power, if there's no country in this world. We talk about a digital economy, we talk about a 24-hour economy, we talk about Nigeria progressing to the next level, we talk about all the potential that is inbuilt in Nigeria. But if we don't get the power issue right, electricity, constant power, this is 2022. We are still grappling with the national grid collapse 3 times in the last 24 days. It is unheard of. There is no country in this world, and we talk about digital economy, we are joking with ourselves. Even for those of you who are Christians, if you go to the book of Genesis 1:3, before God started the work of creation, he said, and God said, let there be light. And there was light. Even God needed light. So what are we talking about? If we want to talk about doing what leapfrogging into the 21st century, we need to solve light issue. That is a reality check. I could go into so many other things. Now, okay, you asked about what government needs to do. We need to move beyond talk to action. Talk is cheap. We've had so many nice Nigerians are one of the, if there's a word like most brilliant, I don't know if there's a word like that. I've interacted with various people from across the world, and I'll tell you, Nigerians are ranked up there. We are one of the smartest people you can find in this world. Ask Mr. Fatogun, is in Dublin. Mr. Fatogun is in Dublin. He should tell you the strides Nigerians are making there. Go to the US, look at the strides Nigerians are making there. Go to the UK, look at the strides Nigerians are making there. Go to Australia. Why is it that Nigerians, once they leave this environment, their full potential blossoms? It's a problem because, number one, the enabling environment, it cripples initiative. So government needs to, first of all, develop the local market to attract international investors. I was writing a lot of things down while Mr. Fatogun was speaking. And two, we need to look at standardization, and regulation is important. The last time I spoke here, I said the problem with Nigeria is mediocrity. The world does not, we cannot toy with mediocrity. Mediocrity is going to cripple us. The 21st century world that we live in today is standardization. There is quality. There is nothing like Nigerian standard. This is, either it meets the standard or it does not meet the standard. 3, government at all levels need to make outsourcing a point of national economic growth and development strategy. Now, if you look at how outsourcing has been successful, look at Ghana. Ghana is just a country of 20 million people. That's the population of Lagos State. Yes, Lagos State. That's the whole of Ghana. Yet Ghana is ranked as the #1 hub in West Africa for outsourcing. Ghana, just our next door neighbor there. So what is it that we are not getting right in Nigeria? Very important. We need to develop a large pool of educated and skilled workforce. Very important. Educated and skilled workforce, which is why I so much resonate with the vision of sourcing business, upskilling 5 million Africans in 5 years. That is a step in the right direction. Because if we keep on waiting, how long will we wait for government? We have to make a move. John F. Kennedy said, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. So we also need, another issue that we have in Nigeria is data. We don't have data. Check across, we don't have data. If you ask now, give a rough check. Ask the Ministry of Petroleum, how many barrels of oil does Nigeria produce every day? They'll give you a figure. If you ask DPR, how many barrels of oil Nigeria produces every day, they'll give you a different figure. If you ask the NNPC, how many barrels of oil does Nigeria produce every day, they'll give you, so they'll give you all kinds of varying figures. So there's no, if you go abroad, data is it. That's what makes places like Dublin work. That's what makes places like the US work, is data. Data is important. With data, you can do so many things. And the world we live in today is a world of data. So we need to get our data right in Nigeria. Inaccuracy of data will not cut it. 4, what will data do? Data will give us credible and reliable information for potential outsourcers outside the country who are looking for partners in Nigeria. So we have a lot of things that we do. Another thing which all of us are aware about, the degree of political instability. Why is it that we are all complaining? Many companies are going to Ghana, our next door neighbor. Many countries are leaving Nigeria and moving to Ghana. Political instability. Simple. It's simple. Ghana is seen as a much more stable economy than Nigeria. So we need to get our political instability right. Very important. Today in Nigeria, we are battling with insecurity. All of us are. We are all in this. We hear on the news so many terrible things are happening. How would investors want to come into the country? So there are so many things we need to sort out right. It's very important. Very important, this one too. Unemployment and poverty. We need to tackle that. It's very important. 60% of Nigeria's population is under the age of 30. And in Nigeria, we have over 200 million people. So that means if 60% of Nigerians are under the age of 30, that means we have a very young population. And if out of that 60%, 90% of that, they are unemployed. So you have a two-edged sword. You have unemployment and you have poverty. Unemployment and poverty, if not tackled, you cannot eradicate poverty. I don't subscribe to that you can eradicate poverty. Anybody that tells you they can eradicate poverty is telling you lies. What we can do is to alleviate poverty. You can only alleviate it, because in the Bible it says, the poor you always have. Jesus Christ said it. So you will always have poor people. Everybody cannot be rich. It's not possible. So you look at it, unemployment and poverty, if not tackled right, it creates a problem. And if you see what happened barely 2 years ago with the EndSARS movement, it was a wake-up call for us in Nigeria that if we don't get things right, we might be heading for what happened when we hear of the Arab Spring that happened in 2010 in Tunisia and all that. Because when unemployment and poverty, it creates a sense of vulnerability, hopelessness among people. And when a man is pushed to the wall, is desperate, who does it turn to?
Yeah.
It turns to the people who they feel are the enemies. And that's what played out in October 2020. There's no how we want to explain it, which I believe that it's never too late for Nigeria to get it right. I'm I'm a firm believer in Nigeria. Fine, we have issues, but I believe that I always want to look at the cup as half full instead of half empty. Nigeria has a lot of potential. Nigeria has a lot of, we are resilient people. I know people who are doing this outsourcing. I know companies who are doing this outsourcing thing in Nigeria, even with all the challenges. I know the measure of success that they are having, even with all the challenges. One thing about us in Nigeria, we have what you call adaptive resilience. Now, adaptive resilience is the ability to persevere despite difficulties. It is one thing which is major for us. And it has helped us that even with the issues that we have faced in Nigeria, we have not gone to another civil war. Other countries would have broken up, but somehow we have stayed together with our issues, with our challenges. The reason is that the Nigerian man has what they call adaptive resilience. So there's a lot of things that we can do. I was reading about South Africa and how BPO was very successful in South Africa. And South Africa, I think Nigeria, if you look at the map of Africa, is shaped like a gun. If you look at it, shaped like a gun. Now, the trigger point of that gun is what? Nigeria. If you have chance, if you look at the map of Africa, go look at it. Nigeria is a trigger point of that gun. The day Nigeria gets it right, Africa will never be the same again. I'm telling you, Africa will never be. So what did South Africa do? Based on a report I read from McKinsey, South Africa focused on availability of skills, infrastructure, the business environment, the industry size, and BPO is a huge success in South Africa. Madagascar is an island. It's an island in Africa. It's an island. I don't think Madagascar has up to 2 million people. Madagascar has the fastest internet in Africa. Go check it. The fastest internet in Africa. The speed of the internet. We're talking about a digital age. Madagascar has the fastest internet in Africa. So many things. The opportunities are there. The potential is there. But we should go beyond talk and go into action. They said strategy is good, but the execution is much more important. So that is what I want us, and I'm happy we're having this conversation. I believe it's something that will not end today. We would have subsequent conversation. Let's keep the conversation going. Let me stop there for now before I take all the time.
Mr. Falawa, I got to ask you, right? You mentioned earlier on that we don't use data here in Nigeria. We don't see the importance. Now, I strongly believe that. What do you think is the reason for that? Now, each establishment, each sector, there is need for data to be represented. Data is gold, they say. Data is gold. So there's need for each establishment, each sector to utilize data, key into it. But how can we come to a point, especially the government, how can we come into a point where we begin to use data as it's supposed to be used across all boards?
Oh, well, that's a big question.
There has to be a way we are made to understand the importance, how it can translate execution of projects how do we get them to understand the importance of data?
Wow. Okay, it's a good question that you've asked there. How can we utilize data? I would say that I think, let me use the words of Barack Obama, change begins with us. Change will not come from anybody else. Change will begin with us. Let's see how, for things to change, we have to change. You have to start with your own immediate environment. I think even I would say the organized private sector should make it a point of duty to make sure that their data analysis is well informed. Because if it works in the organized private sector, then of course the government, because government is quite a very complex environment. It's not that they don't want to do it, but there are a lot of things, of course, we can't say on air because of it's a public environment. It's a very complex environment that the issue of data, there needs to be the will, means that word, the will, not just because when you have data, you talk about data goes with digitalization, talks about business transformation, you talk about your business processes. Data is important, but when there's absence of data, a lot of things can get done under the cover of darkness. And when things are not uncovered. I'm trying to say a lot of things and not say a lot of things.
Yeah.
So of course you understand. It's a major issue that we face, and I think in Nigeria, the organized private sector, let's start the push. Let's start the drive. We know the potential. We know where Nigeria can be. So let's start that drive. I mean, these days they're talking about big data decisions, structured data, unstructured data. Everything is data. I could spend 3 hours talking about data. Data is so key, so key, so key. I don't want to say it, we do something, we do an exercise. We can't even get what's the population in Suliri. The figures we are getting are politics is being brought into it. So I mean, there's a lot of issues, but as a Nigerian, I look at that the day we get it right. That's why I said earlier that the day we wake up, Africa will never be the same. There's a lot of potential we have in this country, but it takes the will. We all need to put our hands to the plow to make sure that we let this work. So it's important. We need to understand that data. Data is very important. If you look at those in the tech space, of course, they're making use of data. That's why there's a boom in the fintech industry.
Yeah.
There's a boom. I mean, that's another discussion for another day. They are making use of data. If there was no data, you will not have companies like Flutterwave, Paystack. You have companies like CredPal. They will not be doing so well. They are making use of data. So there are already people making use of data. Only that on a national level, we don't have that. But different ones are making use of data in different ways. Different people, whether it's the retail sector, whether it's the fintech sector, whether it's the banking sector, they all make use of data. Data helps you to know how to reach your customer. Data helps you so many things. So I could spend 3 hours talking about the benefits of data for our environment, but it's something that we should start doing as the private sector. Let us make it a point of duty, which I believe
individuals and
which others, even the government will be forced to reach out private sector. How are you doing? Now tell government, okay, government is beyond talk. There needs to be a willingness for us to get this right, which I believe Nigeria will get it right. I'm strongly believing in this country that
okay, having said that, what are the ways we can make Nigeria the destination for outsourcing jobs? I do also remember that the last time you came here, you did talk about something along that line. But how can we make Africa the destination? We have the likes of China, India, Philippines, South Africa, but Nigeria, Africa. How can we make it so attractive that every outsourcing job would want to come? Startups, employers, would want to come to Africa. We want to outsource the jobs to Africa. How can we do that?
I think, thank you, Oge, for that. I'll try and be very brief on that so that I don't take all the time. There needs to be government needs to focus on technology. Technology is very major in this time. There should be government spend on technology should increase. I would expect that the ministry, there should be a drive whereby also upskilling, reskilling, and also making sure that we have a skilled workforce. And
Okay.
because I would say that the jobs are out there, but like I said the last time, many people say that Nigerians are not employable. I differ with that perspective. I believe, like Mr. Fatogun said, he did a World Bank study in 2012, and Mr. Femi was part of it. Nigerians are employable. It's just the right enabling environment. So most importantly, we need to develop our skills. That's why I resonate with the vision of sourcing business. It's a step in the right direction. I mean, upskilling 5 million Africans in 5 years. It's a huge goal. Nobody, the convener of this, Mr. Femi, is just something that was born in his heart. And see, look at us today. But it starts with one person just making that move that say, okay, do I have to wait for the government? Let me see what I can do in my own little space. And
Yeah.
soon it catches fire. And that is what is happening here. We don't know what this will be in 2 to 3 years' time. We don't know. But the important thing is that we've started on the right track. So, because investors are looking for opportunity, I can tell you, investors are looking for opportunity in Africa. And I mean, a lot is Africa serves as a major hub for. I mean, Nigeria serves as a major hub for Africa. If you see, about a year ago, a popular platform, we all knew they wanted to come to Nigeria. All of a sudden, the platform decided to divert to our neighbor, Ghana, for their own reasons. But if you look at the qualifications, the criteria whereby it was skewed towards Nigeria. For you to get it, you have to be a Nigerian. So a lot of things, many investors are looking to come into the country. Many people see potential. There's a potential for outsourcing in Nigeria. Nigeria, we have the largest population in Africa. 1 in every 5 Africans is a Nigerian. So there's no investor in this world that will look at, wow, numbers. I want to come to this country. So it's a lot. And I'm trying to I don't want to talk too much. There's a lot I know we have a time frame here, but there's a lot of potential that can happen. And it's just for us to get started. And then things would evolve. Thank you again.
Yeah. It's just for us to get started. All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Kalama, for that one. Mr. Fatogun, hi.
Hello.
Okay, so the question I want to ask, do you think there's a difference in the delivery between, Africans in Africa and Africans in Europe? Is there a difference in the delivery when it comes to outsourced jobs? Is there a difference?
Well, that depends on the business process.
Okay. Okay.
The delivery is guided by what the company needs. So you can't, if you mean, is there a knowledge gap between Africa in diaspora and Africa here? Definitely, yes. There's more information, knowledge, new modern way of doing things in diaspora. In Africa, what do we have? Those are transferable skills as well. You remember I mentioned knowledge management when I was talking, and that if a company comes to Nigeria, what are they leaving behind? What footprint of knowledge are they leaving? If Oge worked for Google in Nigeria, are they giving Oge a transferable skill that when you want to start your own company, you could use those knowledge? You understand? So those are, like Mr. O'Connor clearly says, those are policy things. The companies should, the government should play a big role to give these companies a lot of guidance of what is expected of them. When we give the enabling environment, the ease of doing business, if we provide the infrastructure, the security they needed, the power supply they needed, everything they needed, then what are they going to give back to us? Those are supposed to be part of what we require from them. You see, technology does not have respect for borders anymore. It's it travels everywhere because of the nature of infrastructure that is in place today. Then Nigerians can have the same level of skill sets that people in Europe has if our policy is um, uplifting our people to that same pedestal as well. And come to think of that, we need, like Mr. Okonawa said, we need to start thinking of what we should do. The famous book written by Spencer Johnson, he said, "Who moved my cheese?" If you have seen that book, you need to go and read it. Dr. Spencer Johnson centered the metaphor in that book around four characters: M, Owl, Scotty, and Sniff. And I'm sure Femi will remember because I always use that in my case study when I teach change management. The country should go through the process of change management as well. Change as in what is our policy change, our directional change as well. We should stop sniffing the old cheese. The book is centered about those four little characters. They live in a cheese maze. They eat cheese and they live in the maze. But suddenly the cheese disappeared. But two of these characters, M and Al, continue going back to the same place where the cheese was, and they did not think of exploring some other dimensions, some other locations to find it. But they thought it is going to be daunting for them to go to another location to look for cheese. Whereas the other two little characters, Sniffer and Scurry, they took up their shoes, they wore it and took their bag and started looking for opportunities. You see, the metaphor of who moved my cheese can be applied to individuals. If you are complacent, if you feel, well, things will always happen, I always pray to God and God will deliver it to me. You are still sniffing the whole cheese. You think things will happen autopilot. Some people would take advantage of opportunities. Some people would dig, like Femi would dig. They think something is staying in this country, believe, why not? That's why he's doing this. So it's like sniff and scoring, looking for opportunity where people think, no, there won't be opportunity there. And do you know what effect this brings? For the little sniff and scory, they found cheese in abundance, more than what was in their old maize, and they fed fat. Whereas M and R will refuse to move, they became lean, thin, and nothing to eat. So, what I'm trying to say with this metaphor is we as a nation should start thinking how we can disrupt what is already in place. I'm thinking disruptive technology, disruptive innovation ideas that could bring us back to the fore in the nations of the world. What are we supposed to do? Things are so bad. I saw one of the audience asked a question, said, "What? How would countries come to us when we have a bad name in crime? We are a destination for cyber crime. Why would people come to us?" Yes, you find Ministry of Interior and External Affairs working so hard every day to polish, to make us look good, but things are really bad. Some young people, talents, are not doing what they are supposed to do. They are not taking their time to find use. They are indulging in cybercrime, and they are making things difficult even for those in diaspora. It's difficult for a lot of people. We a lot of people are not getting the opportunities they are supposed to get because of news that blackwash the name and image of the country we represent. So what should we do then? We should disrupt, start thinking inward. Mr. Okonawa made a very, very valid point that I was thinking about as well, talking about the population we have. That is our greatest asset. That is the asset India, China depended on. And it gives us we can negotiate with that. 200 people, 60% of them are youth. You can take that to the bank. And that is why people come to us. They come to us because of that. That alone makes us very, very important to anybody who think he wants to do business with Africa. But what are we doing? I think we are closing our doors to these opportunities. I read somewhere that we did not approve of uniform currency or trade with other African countries, that we thought, oh, they'll take away our work. I thought that's one of the biggest mistakes we've made as a country. That if we open our doors to trade with other African countries, that would be a problem. That means we don't know who we are. Nigerians are one of the most sophisticated, intelligent people in the world. We are not talking about Africa. If we open our economy to Africa, to everybody to come, what we are doing in essence is they open their doors to us. They are afraid because Nigeria will take their jobs. Nigeria will take over. If you plant a Nigerian in any country where he has access to work, you'll be surprised before a few years, it will be the manager of industries. But we close it off. We said we don't want that. No, that means we'll be unemployed, and we are afraid. We're already unemployed. From Mr. Okalawa's statistics, if 80% or 90% of 60% are unemployed, it means youth that are unemployed are over 100 million people. And we are still closing door to them, that they don't have the right to go to other African countries to work because we thought that would make us impoverish. You can see that of knowledge in that policy making. We need people. That's why I told you, we need people who understand how things should be done to be running our policy, economic developmental policy for Nigeria. Because you are talking about you want offshoring businesses from Europe and America. You are not thinking inward. Africa is a big market itself. If we conquer Africa and Europe sees that Nigerians are everywhere, Nigerians can do this, then that is how to polish our reputation. The reputation becomes better because they've seen what we've done in Ethiopia, they've seen what we've done in South Africa, they've seen that when you go into meetings, the people you meet are still Nigerians, then they will be interested to speak to us. And what you are doing in a very small way, you are shaking the lid of the coffin. Femi is doing that with this program. This is a program that can be viewed everywhere in the world, and people will see that youths are talking about essential things. They are talking about developmental things. Youth are not sending bugs to their computers and trying to steal their money or steal their credit card. That's not what we are doing here. We are thinking of how to harness the knowledge, the capability, the capacity, everything that is left in this country, how to harness it and to project our youth in a positive way to the world. And if that is what we are doing, do you know some venture capitalists will see this and they will say, I can try it.
Yeah.
I can. I want to. This, you see, one of the beauty of this country is we are also English speaking. English speaking,
Mr.
which
Fatima, I want to take you up on that English speaking, right? I want to take you up on that. You see, we're English speaking country, right? English is our language, our first language, language with which we communicate in, we teach in, we learn in.
yeah,
But somehow, every time young Nigerians find themselves in other English speaking countries, that's perhaps Europe, Canada, and America, we are constantly being asked to produce a proof of English language. Why? I mean, this particular thing has made a lot of Nigerians on Twitter really crazy because it doesn't make any sense. We are an English speaking country, and every time we go out, they're asking us to prove to us that you know that you can speak English. I have had people who are not Nigerians tell me, okay, you speak well. I said, excuse me, I live in Nigeria. I am a Nigerian. I speak English. Proper one, I might add. So please, I mean, share your thoughts, man, because this whole English thing has been a
you see,
problem for a while.
that policy is, I think, is in the right place. It's not.
Okay.
A lot of people come to Europe and America. It's not only Nigerians that comes, so they don't
Well, that's the
just.
thing. It's not just, it's
It,
the
they
thing is
won't
focused
just
on
take the bus.
Africans and Nigerians.
They won't just tick the bus and say, "Okay, where are you from? Nigeria. Where in Nigeria?" And you say, "Where are you from?" Okay, and I just tick. Stay here. We understand we are English speaking countries, but we understand English. In quotes, they would want people who speak it as a native speaker as well.
Okay.
Nigerians, yes, we are very good, but I think they rated Ethiopia ahead of us, which annoys me. But we are English speaking, and we are the largest English speaking country in the world. Does that surprise you? Because yeah, before
It's not supposed to be
I would
surprising,
say
but
it's supposed to be America, but so
hmm,
the statistics shows is actually us
Yes, that's after India, right?
after India.
after
Yes.
After
India,
India. But
Yes.
yes, when you say India English
Second
speaking,
largest among developing nations.
when you say India is also English speaking as well.
that's interesting. Interesting.
Yes. So because India has a large population of English speaking, but Philippines, do you know, are taking the call center jobs from India. When business process outsourcing started, the destination for call center um, was India, and for good reason. They are English speaking, they are well educated, excellent customer service. By nature, they give excellent customer service. They have technology, they have everything you need. Ease of doing business as well. But some countries have actually caught up with that. Nigeria refused to catch up. We have every resources. You could imagine somebody wants to build a call center. You have to settle on Onile because you want to build a company that their children will work for. It makes, I mean, Mr. Okalawa said this, and I know if that is the topic for the day, we would love to be here for a whole day. I used to work in call center, develop call centers around the world, and I understand how easy it is to do business. I read somewhere that ease of doing business in Nigeria now is 24 hours, but they've never achieved it because what they have now is 10.9 days, Nigeria. But the truth, if I ask you, is it actually 10.9 days that you can get a business started in this country? It's not. But that's what is on record for you. But it is a good move from what it was in the past when you can't start a business in 6 months. You won't even have a bank account. You could not have a lot of things. we need to think of those who want to invest in this place. We need to start thinking of making our country safe. If it's not safe, people will not come. We are talking about helping to develop the knowledge base internally. How would somebody want to come from the US and wants to get kidnapped because it's training people? Then you kidnap him, and you ask for $10 million, and because of some people's selfish means, it becomes difficult. That's why I'm saying, and I've heard Mr. Okalawa also said it, that let's look inward within ourselves. There are a lot of companies in Nigeria. We need to start selling the advantage of outsourcing to them. Let them let them face their core competence. Let's create lease companies where you can lease out people's competence. If it's accounting, HR, IT, that they should be tied to that leasing company. And a lot of people want to be like that. They want to be free. Some people want to work from home. Some people don't like the mortar and brick when that's they just want to meet on the internet and work and do their job. So these are what we should be thinking about. And when this is cooked up, then the other part comes in. And that part is when we start looking outside. But let me tell you something. Like I said before, that is closing up fastly. It's not like it's what it used to be, because we have to start thinking about our carbon footprint for most European and American companies now. Footprint.
Oh wow.
You can't be burning diesel. And some people will think you are sending out a lot of diesel. How much tons of diesel do you burn? If you burn so much diesel, you might not be the right company to give a job to. So are we investing in windmill, wind powered electricity? Do you know that European countries are now offshoring their wind electricity production? That's what they're doing today. So we need to catch up with what technology is, where we are today. If we are still looking at the old cheese, like those characters I mentioned, if we are still smelling the old cheese, when we think we are ready, the world has moved on in so many steps. So that's what I thought. Because of time, let me stop here first.
Thank you so much, Mr. Fatagon, for that. I really appreciate it. Mr. Olusonya, you've been having problems with your connection, but having listened to what Mr. Fatagon and Mr. Kanawa had said, I want to ask you, how do you think that sourcing business is positioning African freelancers to be the most favorable when it comes to outsourced jobs from Europe and the entire world?
Thank you very much, OJ. Thanks, everyone. I do apologize for network issues on and off. So I think I'm stable now. Okay, so Mr. Fatogun, I really enjoyed the submission. It's been a great time listening to you. Mr. Okolawan, it's been a great time listening to you as well. So sourcing business is upskilling Africans, like we all know, and we're trying to kind of kickstart this movement across Africa. Like Mr. Fatogun has said, that we're shaking the lid on the coffin, to use his very own words. Now, one of the things that we are focused on doing is to change the narrative of unemployability in Africa. It's a very widespread narrative. Typical African is considered not employable. And I think I will go further by painting a picture, a scenario. So because we interact with a lot of young people, people in the university in Nigeria, And we found out over the past couple of months that there's a growing trend of companies abroad, startups abroad, recruiting and working with Nigerians remotely, however, under the table. So you talk to a 19-year-old, a 20-year-old lady or girl in Unilag or in Lagos State University, and ask them to come join your team as a product designer. And they tell you they want to earn $2,000 in a month. And you're asking them, a director in a top IT firm in Nigeria probably doesn't earn that. But what you find out is that quite a number of startups from all over the world who are now reaching out to Nigerians, young Nigerians in the teens, in the early 20s, and giving them jobs under the table and pay them 5%, 10% what they would have paid some other guys in their own country. So I'm sharing this story because this is what we see every day. I've encountered probably 10 of these people in the past 2-3 months. So I can speak to it some the girl of effrontery, if you will. So what I've seen happen is the problem is no longer so much about unemployability. For a 20-year-old Nigerian, 21-year-old Nigerian to get a job that's gone to an American, American could have earned an American $15,000 in a month, and they paid a Nigerian 400 USD in a month. Now that Nigerian now comes to a Nigerian startup and charges the same amount of money because this is what they already get. So now it's both saddening, yeah, but it also gives us a ray of hope. It clearly shows that we are no longer that unemployable. And this is a bridge that sourcing business is looking to this is a gap that we're looking to bridge. Now we want to en masse, want to spearhead this movement to have millions across Africa employable to the point where it will no longer happen under the table. Then have partners in Europe and America come to us to say, see, we want to work with you guys. I believe that these people from Europe and America that employ Nigerian youths on the table are doing so because there's no infrastructure. It's not actually because they would want to be sinister or because they want to be malicious, because there's no platform for this to happen. And that's why on sourcing business today, some of our top geeks in sourcing business are geeks around digital marketing, data sciences, business analysis, all that. And we've almost gotten to the end of the first stream. The second stream starts in another month. Now, by the second stream, by the time the second stream
start?
We have trained. Say again.
When does the second stream start? What is there a date?
Okay, so we're getting to the end of the first stream. The first stream ends in another 2 weeks. So the second stream will start in the third weekend of May, and by the time the second stream ends, we'll have trained about 2,000 people, in Nigeria, Africans. As a matter of fact, so we have some non-Nigerians on this cohort as well. Now, about I want to speak a little to what sourcing business is willing to do. Now, we're interested in brokering partnerships with companies across the globe, and that's one of our strategies to address this under the table employment of African youths. We want to book up partnerships with well-meaning organizations in Europe and America, all over Africa as well, in South Africa and in Ghana, who are willing to collaborate with us and engage people that have been mentored on the sourcing business platform as interns, internships, externships, on the job, give us some on the job training. And by doing this, we're ensuring that we're not only training people, we're not only mentoring them, we are taking them by the hand and we're ensuring that they put things that they have learned to practical use. So we're open to partnerships across the globe, organizations, startups, SMEs from Europe and America who are willing to take some of our trainees and mentees as interns. Of course, today we have partner companies in Nigeria. We've got about 10 companies thereabouts that already work with us. in our home group, sourcing business
Okay,
group.
overall, how would you grade the response to the collaboration plea? How would you grade it, the collaboration and the partnership? How would you grade it overall? Has it
Okay,
been
so
quite
in
favorable?
Okay, so in the immediate, we've got a lot of success with local partners, collaborators. Like I was saying, we have up to 10 companies. Of course, we have quite a number of companies in our group, the sourcing business group. We've also got about 3 other partners that hold many companies in Nigeria that are willing to offtake some of the mentees we have today as interns. But what we're looking to do is expand those frontiers to the international space so that we look at partnerships with organizations, SMEs in Europe and America. So far, yeah, we have enough partners in Africa to offtake the mentees that we have. But towards the next cohort, we're looking to partner with organizations across the globe so that we not only create an African-centric work environment, we have Africans also collaborating with people from across the globe. So we have a well-rounded experience, well-rounded practical experience for our mentees.
Wow, that's amazing. Now, I want to take you back a little. You said something about African freelancers being paid under the table and being underpaid. Now, you also
Yes.
said the lack of structure, and yeah, the structure was the reason for that. Now, where does source in business come into all of this? How do they negate all of that? I mean, it wouldn't make sense for sourcing business to be churning out this people who have learned all the skills and then they go out into the market space but are being underpaid below their value just because they're Africans living in Africa. So how does sourcing business, how will it negate all of this to prevent that from happening?
Okay, thank you. So I also thought about this and I discussed with Mr. Femi a couple of weeks back. And one of the things I think is essential is there has to be some sort of private-public collaboration. I
Okay.
think that the organized private sector has to collaborate with some government agencies like the AOPN, the outsourcing agencies in Nigeria, to nip this in the board, because what these companies are doing essentially is that they're trying to cut costs. Yeah, matter of fact, today I don't want to mention names, but there are tech companies in the US today that are worth hundreds of millions of dollars that hired
Mhm.
Nigerians in Bayelsa, in Lagos, in Abuja to build their applications, and they probably spend like 5% of what they would have spent if they hire guys from the US, and what they do is on contract basis, and after a while they get laid off, and you know. So I think that there has to be some sort of private public partnership on this. The government or the relevant bodies, not government as it were, have to be involved in this. Now, once government gets involved in this and they partner with a sourcing business, for instance, it's easy for us to have an infrastructure to say, if you're coming to hire people from Nigeria, you must hire them through platforms such as sourcing business, so that and currently we have a ongoing discussion with AOPN, the Association of outsource. I think outsource freelancers in Nigeria. I can't remember the full name now. We have ongoing discussion with them.
Professionals of
One of the things we
Nigeria.
intend to do is to have a framework where potential employers all over the world can partner with us and employ Africans and Nigerians the right way. And again, to speak a bit to being underpaid. I do not think that underpaid is necessarily. I don't think that the word underpaid is necessarily accurate, because there's an economy of currencies, and if you understand the way this works, what $1,000 will buy in the US is not what we buy in Nigeria. So from my own research and observation, somebody who earns $10,000 in the US per month probably would be able to afford the same kind of life, but of course, as much as money can buy, as somebody who earns maybe 1.5 million in Nigeria. So you see that because of the economy of currencies, we may not be able to say that because the Nigerian EU freelancer gets 10% of what a US freelancer gets, and it means that they're bit underpaid. It's not that's straightforward. So yeah, so in a way, you can say underpaid from the context of value, not direct value. sorry, not just currencies like figures, numbers, yeah. But when it comes to the value, what that's an American buying at Nigeria and Africa and the US, then it's not actually that they are underpaid. However, what I want to say here is, like I've said before, it's essential for us to build a framework now to nip this in the bud before it becomes a widespread menace. Because we speak from a place of experience. We have information. We work with startups every day, and we see this happen all the time. So that's one of the things we're doing now. We're partnering with AOPN to have a framework to address this, and to get potential employers from all over the world, employ people from Africa the right way via platforms such as Sourcing Business. And thank God we have potentially over about 2,000 trainees that will be onboarded in the coming months. In the next 3 months, 4 months, we will have about 2,000 mentors who have been properly trained, who are now employable, quote unquote, that will be onboarded to the Sourcing Business platform. And we can now leverage this framework we're building with AOPN to properly get them employed.
Fantastic. Okay, so far.
Okay. Can you hear me okay?
So far. Go ahead.
All right. If I'm to
can you hear me now?
To comment on what Mr. Dekule is trying to say,
can you hear me?
That when Mr. Kola was speaking at that time, you actually asked.
Hello, can you hear me?
The challenges.
Yes, we can hear you.
With data.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't get the last question. I think I was off for a bit.
Okay, Mr. Femi is trying to say something.
I didn't get what you said.
Can you hear me as well, Mr. Dekule?
So I think that my network is playing some trick on me again. Am I audible? Can you hear me? Am I loud and clear?
We can
yes,
hear
we can hear you loud and clear.
But I can hardly hear you. So can I step out of the call for a bit, for 10 seconds, and I come back in, maybe it's better?
Okay, that's fine.
So I'm trying to look at what Mr. Dekule is talking about in terms of the fact that most of these African youth are being employed under the table. Now that comes down to the issue we're having with data. Right now we're talking about unemployment rate in Africa, in Nigeria, and the situation whereby many of these young people are actually being employed, under the table. It means that the information of this kind of process are not present in the available data. And from what he said, that's why a platform like Sourcing Business give you an opportunity to be captured. If you were hired, on Sourcing Business, we can know that, okay, maybe in the month of April, how many people were hired internationally from Nigeria? Say, okay, 500 were hired on Sourcing Business, and another 500 were hired on other platform and all of that. So that comes to the fact that if we are sincere about our business operations, in terms of integrity, either as local business stakeholders or international stakeholders, if we are all plain and sincere, then the issue of data, the challenges we are having with data can actually be largely eliminated.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Johnson, for that. I want to see if we have questions or comments. This one says, Nigeria can be a great country if there is reorientation of the leadership and a deviation from selfishness to selflessness. How can we get rid of corruption and build a viral and strong economy? Mr. Fatago, you want to respond to that? He's gone already. Okay, so Mr. Okay, please, you want to respond to that, please?
Well, I believe Nigeria can be a great country, of course, and orientation, leadership, and deviation from selfishness to selflessness. Just like what Femi just said, it is appalling that somebody is hired and we don't know. Mr. Kolawa said that in so many words as well, that data is quite important. I can't imagine somebody will pay me without the Irish government knowing I was paid. It's not possible. There are a lot of jobs coming from other countries to Ireland. And the first thing the employer will ask you is, how do you like to be paid? Do you want an umbrella company, which is sourcing business? They give you an umbrella company. The umbrella company will deal with the government in your behalf. So if or have you registered your own company, which goes to what you are also preaching, that people can be freelancers. So you could
Mm-hmm.
register and somebody dealing with you, that is not against the law. But the dealing itself, because you are registered, you have taken in income, that company deserves to pay Nigeria government for whatever um, you pay for working in the country. So basically, you don't find that so many of those in Europe. I know some people will tell you, can you pay me without me going to revenue? Because in this country, the revenue, all salaries goes to revenue. Revenue pay you back. It's like the employer just pay your salary to revenue. Revenue now pay you after removing their taxes. So it's not possible for you to get some money that is not even that cannot be accounted for. And the other part I picked from that discussion is it ethical for people to get the payments that are very low? When you talk about outsourcing, there is a question of ethics as well. Outsourcing itself, companies want to do business with where it's cheaper than their own countries. The United States outsource 300,000 jobs every year. Why are they sending those jobs outside the United States? When President Trump was there, he was fighting that jobs that are meant for America are going elsewhere. Do you know that it was during his tenure that more jobs went out than even before or after that? Even at the fight it was because that's a capitalistic economy where people want to maximize profit. So you outsource jobs because one of the what drives outsourcing is, am I going to get it cheaper, and is it going to be quality as well? Is it going to be that's why India got a lot of outsourcing when this story of outsourcing started. They are well trained, they have good schools, they well educated, but their salaries are very low. So also China. So if Nigeria, like the young man said, Adekunle, if we have people earning salary, we don't need to start thinking somebody in America will have done the job for 10,000. What is your own exchange rate? At least you are getting 100,000. If it's one to one as we supposed to be, then 10,000 will be too small and we will not be a destination, except they want to employ us as a PKO, that is process knowledge outsourcing. Those are very high level qualified people that people give jobs to around the world. So what I'm saying in essence is the policy, the data, the national data. We should get our facts right. Hence, these are leakages. Leakages in terms of money is leaving the country and we don't even know. Mr. Okalawa mentioned how much the barrel were produced yesterday. Can somebody answer that question? It's difficult for us to exist as a country if we cannot give accurate data, because that's what drives the economy. That's what drives everything, the planning, the initiation that we want to build. Everything is based on data. And if our data are wrong, if we cannot capture little thing as a young man earning $400 in a small village, then we have not got anything right. My own thought should be, how would source in get those data? How would people key into companies like sourcing or even sourcing? How would you be able to present this policy as a policy paper to government and tell them how you intend to do it? How do companies, how do government give people the instructions to register with you before they can become a freelancer? Those are things that you should start thinking of how to put in place. You need to back up your country, your company with policy, with people who would see what you are seeing, because you are going to be making money for the government. And when you tell the government we are going to be, you are losing $1 billion every year, their ears are tickled. They want to hear more. But if you tell them, we want to become your partner, nobody listens to that. Give them in numbers. Tell them how many people are employed that are not even recorded. Because for their political reasons, they want to be able to say, oh, we have 100,000 jobs created through our outsourcing. Needs that is supposed to be the Nigerian IT Development Agency. And part of what they're supposed to do is what Femi and yourself are doing, because you are mixing people, you are trying to organize people, you are trying to put them under umbrella. And the best way to do it is to create such umbrella companies. So they work through you, and you need to develop your own infrastructure as well. You need to develop your project management software that keys in with companies as well. You need to develop your collaborative software system that keys in with their own software companies and software as well. Where you are able to, you become a key point that when we plug into sourcing, it will give us this. You become the TCS of Nigeria. That's what it means. So think of what you need to do. That's your own project. Think of how to move from from where you are now. I like I think Adekunle mentioned some of what you have achieved already, which are very gladsome. It makes my heart rejoice, because it means you have done quite a lot, but you can do more. You can move from where you are now to another point, which is going to be a giant step. And I know you can do it, Femi, because I've seen what you've done before. You won't sleep. I don't think you sleep. So basically, you start thinking, because when Nigeria is a country where if it is not written down, everything happens anyway. But sourcing has the ability to be the intermediary between the government and the people. It could even be an intermediary between business and business. So you should start thinking your strategy, your own strategy should be how to position yourself as a go-to place for these things to happen. And you need to identify the players. If you know the players, then key yourself in between them. Let them plug into you. When they plug into you, you plug back into government, you plug them back into government as well. And because of transparency and everything will come back to you. I think that's what we should be thinking about. We can have talks.
Mr. Patrick, thank you so much for that. Thank you for that. We also have another comment here from Emmanuel. Says the regulatory framework is also key. If the regulatory agencies are not up and doing, it makes doing business difficult and unnecessary bureaucratic. Often it's easier doing business with Europe, America, and Asia rather than doing some in Africa. Mr. Kalama, you want to respond to that? Now he's saying that it's so much easier doing business in Europe, Asia, and America than doing business in Africa. Mr. Kalama, you want to respond to that?
Yeah, well, it's Emmanuel. Thank you for that question. I believe that a few months ago there was the AFTCA, which was supposed to foster trade across African countries, and I know
Okay.
it took Nigeria quite a while before we signed
Mm,
on to that. I wondered why. Something that would foster trade, like what Mr. Fatogun said, why would it take us a while?
yeah.
And we delayed, and we eventually signed it, but by the time we were signing it, they decided to take the hub for the headquarters of the AFTCA to Ghana. I was at a meeting, and I heard that it was supposed to come to Nigeria because of the strategic nature we face in Africa. So there are a lot of things about us that we need to change our orientation as regards, because in Africa we are over 1 billion people in Africa, and charity begins at home. I mean,
Mm,
we want to do with Europe, America, and all that. Even Africans ourselves, even our neighbors, West African neighbors, Ghana, Togo, Benin, how is the trade with them? So there's a lot of things we need to look inwards, and I want to ride on what Mr. Fatogun had said earlier about us. We need to look at ourselves, because as Africans, we should really look at ourselves as we are one. I mean, even though we are separated by borders and all that, but if we can't do business with ourselves, if there can be seamless trade among various African countries, whether it's west or east or north or southern part of Africa, then why we want to do business with Europe, America, and all that? And one thing that has helped the European countries in the EU is that there's freedom of trade. Of course, we know what is going on now with the UK, leaving Brexit. I mean, it's not been easy, but of course, countries who are in the EU, those are the benefits that they get from being in things like that. So I believe one, charity begins at home, and there should be a goal whereby what we want to achieve, and let's foster trade even with our West African neighbors. Let there be freedom of trade. Let there be freedom of goods and services. Fine, I know Nigeria was trying to curtail smuggling and all that, but all those things can be worked out. And of course, there needs to be a willingness both on the part of the governments of all the countries to come together and say, okay, how can we curtail this? We want to curtail smuggling, whether it's smuggling of foodstuff, whether it's smuggling of petroleum products or whatever. We need to foster trade. It's very important. Let us do it among ourselves. 1 billion people in Africa, we can do a lot with ourselves. A lot of
mm,
things we can do with ourselves before we start looking outside the continent. That's just been my response on that.
mm. Thank you, Mr. Kalama, for that one. I do appreciate that. This one also is coming from Augustine Tunde. He says, that's a good point. Like having our own local and semi-dedicated database. Okay, he's perhaps responding to the comment he said earlier on. Now, Taiwo says, the problem we are having about data is from our government and private sectors managing data in this country. They're thieves. Ah, that's quite a strong word, Taiwo. Okay. Um. Tunde also says it doesn't stop us. Okay. Dechikuka. Okay, he's perhaps responding to somebody else. Let's see. Any more questions? This one says, but why do we always ignore the talks about impact of some excessive cyber crimes, especially on the way it's affecting our image outside the country or globally? It says that how can we, but why do we always ignore the talks about the impact of some excessive cyber crimes, especially on how it affects our image outside the country and globally? Mr. Kalam, I want to respond to that.
Um, the percentage of people, and in every country, there always be bad eggs. And I don't think that, fine, Nigeria, let's look at Nigeria. Nigeria has a bad image, cyber crimes, 419, fraud. But I don't believe that in 200 million Nigerians, 200 million of us are fraud. It's just a small percentage, but that small percentage tries to paint a bad image over the rest of us. I would say they are barely, not up to even 5% of people. So what happens to the rest 95% of us? So it's for us to, because in spite of the cybercrime, which is of course people blow it out of proportion, I'll tell you that there are also cyber crimes in the US. There are cyber crimes in China, but nobody talks about it. There are cyber crimes in developed countries in the world, but nobody talks about it. But it's because, of course, when it comes to Africa, of course, there's a narrative on Africa, of course, but we can change that. We can change that, and that's why we are having things like this. Let's change the narrative of Africa. We'll set a big goal, upskilling 5 million Africans in 5 years. It's a big goal. It's a big goal. Who is talking about that? Who is talking about that? Charity begins at home. Let's start change the narrative of Africa being a dark continent, Africa being a continent of war and famine, Africa being a no good continent, to a continent of hope, potential. People can see that being African is not a disadvantage. You don't have to be like anybody else. You can be in Africa and you can still be a global citizen. So it's for us to change the narrative, and the rest of us who are doing things like it, and any other person who is trying to do something positive. Let's start bringing out positive things from the continent. For in Nigeria, let's change the narrative. We know Nigeria is bad and different things are happening. But as Nigerians, what are we doing? What image are we projecting out to the world about Nigeria? Are all 200 million of Nigerians, are we all bad? I say no to that. It's just a few bad eggs trying to taint the image of us. So I believe that there's a lot of hope. There's a lot of potential. I see that there are success stories on outsourcing. I mean, people have done it. India controls 50% of the outsourcing market in the world. We've heard about China, heard about the Philippines, we've heard about Vietnam coming to Africa. Ethiopia is there, Ghana is there, Madagascar is there. Nigeria can become number one in Africa. I mean, it's just for us to just get things right, all the things we've discussed today, and all the things that need to be done, both on the private sector and both on the government side. Of course, is a two-way street. So things can change, and in this era of digital, it has opened up a lot of opportunities. It has introduced opportunities, possibilities that we don't even think were imaginable. We have the Internet of Things, we have automation, we have cloud computing, we have artificial intelligence. Like Mr. Fatogun said, technology has no borders. Technology has no borders. I mean, you can't say being in Nigeria is no more an excuse that, oh, because I'm in Nigeria. Technology is available for everybody to use. So there's a lot of good that we can do to change the narrative, which I believe that if the thing about it, let's just get started and things will begin to evolve. We are changing the narrative, and that is what sourcing business is trying to do with platforms like this. And we are ready to partner and see how we can make a difference in not just in Nigeria, but in the African continent. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Okalamo. Mr. Fatogo, you want to share your thoughts on that comment?
Definitely. Basically, like Mr. Okalawa said, there's crime everywhere in the world, but we are notorious, unfortunately. Seated in this house, somebody called me, and is definitely from Southeast Asia. I'm not going to mention country. And he called me. He mentioned the company I work for. I'm working for a technology company. I mentioned that company, that he works for it. He said, because he works for it, he wants me to go and do something on my computer. I said, which department? He mentioned my department. That he wanted me to go and press put a key or accept a code. And I started laughing. He wants
Interesting.
he wants to dupe me. He wants to steal
Mm-hmm.
my information,
Have
and
access to your data and your
he wants to have
information.
access. And I just thought so many things I can do to him. And so many things. Whether I should steal his own data rather than him stealing my data. So basically, that is what is going on. A lot, and we get that calls every time. My son got a call from somebody that his citizenship will be revoked because he had done something. And the young man came to me crying that somebody is threatening him. I said, let me speak to him. When he heard my voice, he dropped the call. What was he trying to do? Trying to get him to give more information about himself. And
Yeah.
at a point, I was getting calls more than twice every day.
Wow.
I was working for a telecom company once, and we get hundreds of calls about fraud. And most of these are not from Nigerians. But who is the poster boy when it comes to fraud? They just decide to put our name on it and say, oh, Nigerians. A lot of Africans are involved in fraud, but because you are black, like Mr. Okalawa said, we are 200 million. That means if Africa is 1 billion people, one out of every African is a
It's
Nigerian.
Nigeria.
So if you are black, if you're African, and you are being caught for credit fraud or whatever, some people will just label you, rubber stamp it as Nigerians. A lot of Nigerians are doing incredibly well. A lot of Nigerians are doing good service. A lot of them have been given jobs that requires a high level of probity, integrity, and they are doing well. So yes, there's a lot of cleanup to do. The government should clean it up and help to project the image. People like your company is doing well as well, trying to project what we have from the inside. But what should we be doing from the outside? People in diaspora need to be seen as hardworking, and that's not easy. That's not difficult to project. You see, people employ Nigerians because they are hardworking. They know it. You employ a Nigerian is like you're employing a titan. It works. It is working hard. So we have bad eggs. We have very good eggs, and yeah, we just need to start uh, the narrative. We need to change it. We need to change it from the inside to the outside, and as well from the outside to the inside. That needs to happen.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Fatagon, for that one. And it's supposed to say Mr. Jonathan is on fire this morning. Accountability is almost non-existent in Nigeria. That's from Dave Chukwuka. He also says that that's the correct. Ghana has been pulling the weight in outsourcing around Africa. Okay. Good morning and happy Easter to everyone. Good morning to you too, Taiwo. Okay, and with that we have come to the end of the holiday edition of Upskilling 5 Million Africa freelancers in 5 years. It is 12 o'clock. Our time is fast spent, and I want to say a big thank you to Mr. Amos Fatagun for granting us the opportunity. Your presence here has been great, and also to Mr. Jonathan Okalomo. Thank you so much for coming through, and of course, not forgetting Mr. Adekunle Olusonya. Thank you so much for coming through. We really do appreciate your presence, and thank you. Hopefully, we will do this again another time, maybe another holiday. Perhaps we'll do this again, and we'll talk more on how we can make Africa the the favorite country when it comes to outsourcing, outsourced jobs. How we can make Africa better, more accountable, and basically a better continent. So thank you so much, and thank you once again. And yeah, that's it. Not to forget that on Wednesday we'll be back here for our regular weekly edition on Skinny 5 Million African Freelancers in 5 years, same time at 10 a.m. So I will see you then. Thank you so much for dropping your messages. Thank you for the comments. Connect with us on social media, on Twitter, on YouTube, on Facebook, and on LinkedIn at Source in Business. And of course, do go ahead to register on sourceinbusiness.com to be a part of the ongoing mentorship program. And I'll see you on Wednesday. I am Ogi Mark. Thank you for listening. Bye.